Hey folks, Cody here. I'm a former student of ETSU's Bluegrass and Old Time Country music program. I've made quite a bit of mistakes in learning how to play this style of music over the years. So in this video, I thought that I'd share some of those mistakes with you. That way you can learn from them and your bluegrass guitar journey is a little bit less frustrating than mine was, all right? Mistake number one, not focusing enough on my alternate picking technique. But what is alternate picking? Why is it important, all right? On your tab there, let's just focus on those first two notes. I've got an easy exercise and then a more difficult one. But what we cannot do is go down and then bring our pick back up and go down again to hit those first two notes. You'll see that bluegrass is a very note-filled style of music. We need to play quickly, we need to play accurately, and so alternate picking is just about economy of motion. That's how I've always pictured it. Because if we go down and then back up and then down, that's inefficient. Rather, we have to alternate. All right, just like that. And you can come back up. Go as slow as you have to go. If you've got to tip your guitar up like that to look at it, don't be afraid to. Another tip is try relaxing your shoulder, your whole body. The less tense we are, the easier this will be on the way back up. Okay, for this next tab, if you can't play the whole thing, just take it one measure at a time. Slow and steady is the game, but we're going down up on our picking pattern. Okay, I'll go nice and slow. You'll notice on those last couple notes, I'm sliding and I'm not up picking on that second fret A string, skipping that one, and then I'm up picking on that open G to finish off the exercise, okay? One more time, I'm gonna highlight a couple notes there that I want you to put a little more umph or accent those. Just hit them a little bit harder. Just like that. If you're finding these exercises helpful, do me a huge favor, subscribe to the channel. It really helps out the journey here on spreading bluegrass music to a wider audience. And if that lick's a little too hard, grab the free mini course down below. Let's go on to mistake number two. And that is practicing and playing too fast initially, okay? Nothing kills motivation or dedication in learning how to play not only bluegrass, but any style of guitar or instrument for that matter, more than thinking that you have to play fast initially. Yes, that's what we all aspire to. Yes, that's what Billy Strings does, and it sounds amazing. Heed my warning. You're not going to be able to jump into here and play this fast and be able to get the wins you need to stay on this journey, okay? So even to this day, when I'm learning a new tune or a lick, I'm usually at about 65 beats per minute. You know, go as low as you have to go. If it's 10, 20, that's where you start, okay? Then you crank it up over time. On this point, there's a reason why my local jam here in Knoxville has both a slow jam and then a regular jam. Because building up to those speedier instrumentals, playing rhythm in time at like 90, 100 beats per minute, takes some time. So go slow at first. All of the instrumentals and licks in my paid course are recorded at like 60 beats per minute. That way you can actually see what's going on, learn how to play it. More info on that down below or at the end of this video. Let's go on to mistake number three to avoid, which is, and no, this is not a sponsored video, not getting the right practice tools fast enough, okay? There's an app called Strum Machine that I highly, highly recommend to anybody learning bluegrass, whether you're on a guitar, banjo, fiddle, mandolin, whatever it might be. I've seen so much progress in my personal playing over the past 2 years of having that app. Let me just explain what it is quickly. It's a massive catalog of backing tracks, and it solves the two main problems in learning bluegrass, is that there was never a reliable backing track source, and when you found a backing track, Usually it was only at one speed. The key to practicing smart is through repetition and building up your speed and accuracy through different BPM or beats per minute, which I just referenced in the previous point. And Strum Machine solves both of those problems. You can start at 10 beats per minute. You've got a full bluegrass backing track that emulates a real jam. And this is a really efficient use of practice time, in my opinion. Nearly all the bluegrass players in my circle uses it to practice. Just Google it, you'll find all the information. And if you want anything specific about it, let me know in the comment section and I'll try my best to make a video on it. Next mistake is not experimenting more with my right hand technique. Okay, let me explain. Bluegrass pickers, depending on who you watch, have a variety of ways that we control the movement of our right hand, okay? For me, I am finding a nice comfortable spot on that bridge area, around the bridge area, and I'm putting that part of my wrist right there and kind of using it as a fulcrum point, if you will, okay? And that helps me control my speed, my picking, everything else. You'll see some players, and this blows my mind, like I think Jake Eddy is one of these pickers, where they call it like a floating arm, where it's not rooted anywhere, at least around your wrist. And you know, you have to watch these guys, and I encourage anybody, observation is a very powerful tool in this style of music because we all have different approaches. You can work on your own technique and learn a lot by just watching. But you know, the hand will just be completely off of the guitar. Then you'll have other players that plant their pinky, okay? And I say plant, but it moves depending on where you're at with the neck. And that one's okay for me. I just find it more natural to have my hand kind of free. And the idea of having another finger in the equation kind of freaks me out. So I don't approach it that way, but it's fun to experiment. And bluegrass guitar is all about experimentation. One might work better than the other, and something that I don't think a lot of players or a lot of guitar players even mention on the internet or elsewhere is how this is tied into your posture, okay? I am trying really hard to try to figure this out because I'm nearing 40. I play guitar a lot for what I do for work now, and I can't sit here in this position and play guitar for very long. I've kind of adopted what a lot of the yoga gurus and stuff will tell you online about working at a desk all day, is that the best posture is a different posture, okay? That being said, I know a lot of the folks at home that watch the channel here are a bit older. Definitely experiment with different positions of your body, okay? The more that I do that, the more comfortable I feel, can practice longer, and I'm adopting different stances the more I play, okay? The next mistake, and I want your opinion on this because for the longest time, I did not think that your guitar pick necessarily made a difference. I've changed my mind highly in the past 6 or 7 months, experimenting with some boutique picks. This is a blue chip. I've also played with a couple of Wiegans, and I can say that these make a big difference. I know I posted a video about the blue chip a couple months ago. Got a lot of interesting comments. A lot of folks saying, you know, that if you play an expensive pick, you're a fool or whatever. Hear me out. Nobody says a thing about expensive bridge pins, expensive nuts, and expensive saddles. And in guitar, anything that touches your strings has an impact on the tone. For a $35 pick, you control everything, unlike these parts here. That being said, it's very, very powerful in getting the right tone, locking in your technique. I was such against expensive picks for the longest time. I now take that back. I have no problem saying that. It is definitely worth checking out different styles of pick, different thicknesses. There's tone slabs, there's blue chips. I think this highly makes a difference, especially if you're to the point of playing lead, trying to clean up your technique, working on your down-up picking pattern. This is gonna make a difference. And finally, the biggest mistake I would have told like beginner bluegrass me is that this is not impossible. You've got to take it slow, you need the right direction, but anybody can learn how to play bluegrass guitar, right? I do offer a beginner-friendly, full-on bluegrass guitar course. /membership. I say that because it's growing over time. There's hundreds of students in there learning how to play bluegrass guitar. Here's one of them, Kelly from California. Here's what she says about the lessons inside of Flatpick Foundations.
Before Cody's lessons, I only knew some basic guitar chords. But after signing up, I have a lot more confidence playing with others. I've got a lot of different guitar licks under my belt. And he throws in a lot of music theory, which helps me out at the bluegrass jams that I go to.
There's on-screen tabs to make following along easy. It's anti-overwhelming. Everything's played at a pace that you can learn and understand from. If you have any questions, just drop them down in the comments down below. But do check out Flatpick Foundations. It's a great resource if you're starting to learn this style of music. Folks, I hope you found this video helpful. I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.